Heartiest welcome to Global Talk Show by Business Power Academy, Netherlands. And today, from United States, we have an amazing, vivacious, and great guest. And I am sure this show is going to be super awesome because we are going to sense a lot of positive vibes from my guest. And before I take a deep dive in the Global Talk Show with my guest is none other than Quenton Garrett, who is so much influential on LinkedIn. And from LinkedIn, he is here now. So welcome, Quenton, to our show. It's been a privilege hosting you today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this, as I said, is going to be super awesome. So why delay? Not more a second. Quenton, my first question, and even my global audience are so excited to know this, your great inspiring journey, because your journey is super awesome and super talented. So kindly enlighten your journey with the world today.
So my journey started when I was about 20. I originally started with acting. I was a part of a show on Fox called The Masked Singer, doing a promo. And so I was doing a little dancing. A little too big to be dancing. That was the last time I did a dancing video. From there, I kind of led my acting into my podcasting. And for my podcasting, it felt like something was missing. Ever since I was little, I felt like I had something that I had to provide for my family, and that's a success. And to be the first one to really change that cycle, was something that was really deep down for me. And I had to allow myself to be able to put myself into a circumstance to where I can be in front of more than one person or have a conversation with multiple people, such as I'm doing right now. My podcast typically was just me talking in the closet that I had set up at a home at my house. So it was very, very bad stuff. It's a whole different setup now. But throughout my life, I've just kind of been the type of person that is continuously driven. No matter what happens, no matter what I go through, I continue to have that optimism. I continue to have that better perspective on life, because life is life and you can't change it, but you can change the perspective that you have on it, which kind of changes the quality of how you're living and the fulfillment that you're able to have. Like, my fulfillment comes straight from just contributing to others. I don't believe in me just being served all the time. And if I am just asking, even with my wife, I tell her I recognize it and I take self-awareness, and I do the best I can to try to, accommodate and move my schedule around, because that's more important to me as family. And so my life journey has just been nothing but love, kindness, and a little bit of speed bumps, but I'm still here today. So there's nothing that I can really complain about, because things can be a lot worse. And I'm just thankful that and blessed that I'm able to be on the show, be able to have the influence I have, be able to reach the people I reach. And so it's truly something amazing.
Awesome, Quenton. And really, it's great to know when you said your life is full of love, affection, and you kept it moving. And life is life. You can't do anything. Rather, you can change the perspective of seeing the things. And it's just like seeing the half glass. You can say it is half filled or half empty. And that totally depends on our attitude, our way of looking at the life, how it is and how it is not. And I'm so happy when you said about being positive, be optimistic towards life, because, yeah, nowadays, wherever you see people are sad, people are stressed, people are very, they're depressed about when they are failed. But yes, we do have people like you who motivate others, who spread positive vibes across the globe. And this is really, really great one, Quenton. So thank you so much for inspiring the world today, for touching so many people who are watching us live on 3 platforms. And this is really, really awesome. Well,
Thank you.
this journey with Quenton, and Quentin, I am sure in your life journey, wherever now you are at such a greater height of success, where people would love to be on your place. In your life, what kind of challenges you had faced? And the most important question is, how do you overcome whenever you are stressed, depressed, to good situations, and how do you overcome those pitiful situations? So, can you just enlighten all those things?
So, see, this is why I kept the life journey so short, is because I knew that my life was filled with a lot of challenges. I lost my dad at the age of 11 years old. And so I was actually the one who ended up discovering him face down in the closet. And so I had to go get one of my brothers. And at 11 years old, I'm a major in psychology. So cognitively, I know and understand the timeline of how the brain develops. And at that point, I wasn't able to really recognize and acknowledge what was going on. So I had basically took off running out the house um to one of my neighbors' houses, and all I remember is coming outside and seeing the ambulance. We left, we came back. There was no more ambulance, but it was a hearse. And from that day forward, as I got older, I began to understand more and more what that meant. So I'm 25 now. For the past 14 years, I dealt with pain, trial, and tribulations, and that pain equals progress, and that trial and tribulations just equals some treasures for somebody else. And those losses I took was actually lessons. And so it's something that was hard for me. I went through a time of being going through self-harm, where I was real having that negative self-talk, out doing the wrong type of things. And I didn't have any method to cope with my self-depression. I would try to cope with it by outside sources, whether that be substances, alcohol, whatever it could be. And I really had given up on myself because I thought it was something that I wasn't able to be fixed. And so it was about 4 months ago. Well, originally, let me just go back and say I thank my wife, because without her, I would not be able to make this change, because me moving to California from Alabama was a big culture shock. It is a totally different environment. And we've had our challenges of our own, but it's all when I was in the mindset of not being able to acknowledge the things that I needed to be self-aware of. And so about 4 to 5 months ago, I had been done with what I thought was life. And somehow, some way, God had told me, no, this is not the time. This is, your purpose is still on earth. And every day I wake up, I know that my purpose is still to continue to push forward and still provide for my daughters. And so now that's what my motivation is. That's what my coping mechanism is always thinking about my family, retiring my mom, getting my wife and my daughters a life that they deserve, because I know how I was, and I don't want anybody, I don't want my daughters to meet a spouse that had the mindset of me. So I want to influence other individuals to be positive. And so I just look towards music, writing. I'm a big fan of music. I sing, I do all, and it's just something that calms my heart, and it's something that I use to kind of meditate. I have ADHD, so it helps calm my brain down. And so going through all of that to 4 months, and then 2 weeks later, after going through that whole self-harm, is completely different. it changed my mindset. Now I'm completely positive. I've developed that mindset that I can keep a positive attitude, and for a consistent amount of time. Just because I have emotions, which is okay for you to have emotions. People have emotions. We're human beings. We're going to feel things. That is totally fine. Nobody's asking you to not feel things. But people sometimes tend to feel things, but not acknowledge them. You can be aware that you feel a certain way because once you feel it, you're also automatically subconsciously aware. But to acknowledge them and face them head on, that's where we tend to struggle. And once I was able to start doing that, my life completely did a 180. And I went from somewhere where I was always falling backwards, but until a place to where I had built a support system to where I was being pushed forwards. And so I never was able to focus on what was behind me. Although I was aware of it, I was able to acknowledge it, but my perspective had began to become so strong that I had no longer gave it power to control who I was. And that's where that mindfulness came in. Is I just I knew that I had a message to bring. I knew I had a purpose and a passion. And I knew that in order for me to reach those goals that I needed to reach, I needed to take care of myself. And taking care of myself includes a portion of taking care of others. And so that's my fulfillment. That's my coping mechanism, is seeing the other individual smile. That's really what brings me the most joy.
This is really awesome, Quenton, when you said about challenges. And now, what I think from your life, how much you had gone through your traumas, your difficult situations. So everything had made you, rather than break you. So it's your choice what you want you to be yourself, whether to be broken by your challenges or you made yourself. So I will say only one thing. I will say only one thing, that you opted being positive, and you opted to be happy, and you opted, rather than getting knocked down with your challenges, you stood yourself and you made your own way, and that's called challenges made yourself. So this is really great, Quinton, and I am sure people who are watching us live, they are getting a lot of enthusiasm from your life. They're getting a lot of inspiration, that whenever they are knocked down in their life by so many challenges, they are going to get up, they are going to get a lot of energy from this particular episode, and they are going to move on in their life. So thank you so much for energizing and revoking and refreshing my global audience. Awesome one. Well, Quinton, moving to this lovely journey of Global Talk Show with you. Now, this is most important and most interesting part, where I would love, along with my global audience, we all would love to know about your podcast, your work, and you are a global coach. So tell me something about your profession so that people can learn and leverage from your great work.
So I basically started my career, like I mentioned, it was in acting. While doing acting, I came across a job to where I was supposed to be like a caregiver slash ABA director, life developmental coach. Well, life developmental coach was not the name for it because I worked with the individual with autism. Um, Anyone with autism is not life developmental coach. I feel like associating those two together is like associating a personal coach with a psychologist. It is two different aspects, two different fields. So I went through a whole certification because I got tired of not knowing what to do. We didn't really understand. I was like, okay, I've had individuals with autism, but what am I supposed to do in the situation? So I took it upon myself. I left that job and got my registered behavior technician certification, which means I then started working with individuals with autism, specifically kids facing or ranging in between the ages of 4 to 18. And so I'm doing trial sessions, therapy sessions, trying to improve their cognitive skills or finding gross motor skills, social skills, introverbals, which is, ready, set, and then have them finish go, as well as chaining, which is, teaching them how to wash their hands, doing daily hygiene routines. And so from there, my podcast kind of fed into it because if you go into that field, anybody who knows anything about individual with autism, it can be a very challenging time. And so living with them 24/7, um, it's something that you seek help with when you have an individual or family member or a son, daughter, which is really what I'm talking about here. Cousins a little bit different because you don't see them 24/7, but anybody who you're around 24/7, you have someone who's helping you take care of that individual. As an RBT, I learned the ins and outs of autism, and so I knew what they went through. I felt it, and mentally that had added on to all of my depression, my anxiety. But every day I showed up to work, I had a smile on my face, and I made a difference in those kids' lives. So I constantly had parents and supervisors tell me, I don't understand how you're smiling sometimes. Even while I was at work, my wife ended up having a miscarriage. And I stayed, and I was able to finish that day out with no problems. I took a second to acknowledge it, but I knew that I had a bigger purpose. My last job after that, I ended up having a family death when my wife was pregnant again, due in a week. While I was at work, I found out that and a family member who had already passed a week before, her daughter had passed that Monday. I was at work, and so I got the text message. Went outside, took me a moment. I would like to say it is okay for a man to cry. If you are a man and you feel like you don't need to cry, if you do not let it out, it will come out, and it's going to come out with a lot more enthusiasm than you would have ever expected. So be vulnerable, be open. But um, it was just when I was able to do that, I knew that my mentality was stronger than what I thought, but I had no idea the strength that it carried with it. So I started my podcast show maybe about a year ago, and it was all about mental health, the truth tells, but it's TALES. And so it was my true stories, everything I've been through. Talking about my wife's miscarriage, my dad's passing away, through all the struggles, the things that I went through mentally, the mental battles, the feelings of emptiness and worthlessness. And I knew that podcasting, I still wanted to continue, which I'm actually revamping the show. I have more episodes of the Truth Tales, and I will release, and then I will start something totally different. When the time comes to announce that, I will. But I just wanted to let everybody know that the Truth Tales, you can find it on every platform as far as podcasting. But that whole journey, I feel like it was a different part of my life that I was not mentally prepared and accepting of. So I wanted to start fresh. I wanted to really revamp it to what I'm doing now, and it's about mindset. So now I transitioned from an RBT. I've been working in this specific career field for about 6 months, but I've always done psychology. I've been graduating in December with a bachelor's in psychology. Then I'm going on to get my master's in psychology. I've always been interested in, like I said, I was an RBT, so we had to understand applied behavior analysis, which means we have to be very observant to body language, how to respond when individuals are escalated, showing maladaptive behavior. And so now I took that into being a mindset coach, because when I was able to unlock my full potential and able to gain access into my inner empowerment, then I was able to kind of grasp a hold of my life and say, hey, I'm tired of life messing me over, and I'm going to start taking control of my own destiny. I'm tired of taking leaps of faith or just taking worried about the risk or worrying. And I changed my perspective. And as a friend once said to me, I'm now taking the next big step into my destiny. And so I started to realize I did not want to be changed. Change is like being dirty, being unclean without taking a shower and changing outfits. Even though your clothes are new, you look nice, you still smell bad. And just because you got to cover it with cologne, you know you stink. People might not be completely aware because they're smelling the overwhelming sensation of cologne, but you know that you have not bathed in almost months, years. But you're okay with that because you're changed. You get new clothes, you're this. That's how I lived for 14 years. And then one day my mind became transformed. And I like to think of it like the Transformers movie. They go between the two same things. They're completely evolving into something different. Well, that's what I do on a daily basis. I transform the mind of myself and I transform the mind of other individuals. And so in 2024, I have a book coming out called The Journey Within. And it's about my life. I'm going more in depth into what I went through, every aspect. I wouldn't go into personal names, obviously, but everything that I went through as far as the struggles and how I overcame them and my tips and advices that I've learned throughout the years. But my biggest thing is my career is my fulfillment, my satisfaction. I don't get my fulfillment. If I can offer things for free, then I would. But I want people who are invested, not interested, because people can have a belief, but belief without discipline is just a dream. I don't want dreamers. I want people who are going to take action and turn those dreams into realities, those aspirations into achievements, those missions into or milestones that are completed. And so it's just something that I have always now. I went through a whole cycle of self discovery, fatherhood, being a man to mindset. That's all it's about now is men's mindset in particular, because expectations on men's mindset is horrible. People say if you're a man and you show that you're sad or you show any type of what they call feminine emotions, then you're looked down upon, especially in the workplace. They're like, oh, rub some dirt on it, be a man. Literally, that's a good saying that, even some women use is be a man about it. And that's not the right kind of approach. Everybody has a different learning style. Embrace your learning style. Acknowledge your problems. Accept that you have went through those experiences, but don't allow it to kind of shape who you are, but shape the experience and how you remember it. And so that way you can mold it into something that means something more meaningful to you in the aspect of a positive mindset. And so I knew that not everybody had that ability, which is not saying that I'm more special than anybody else, but my experiences allowed me to come to this realization at the age of 25. And everybody moves at their own pace. But what I can't do is realize I have this type of knowledge and this wisdom and not want to share it with others. And so that's where it led me to my mindset mentor, Plan to Prevail, which is the reason why I use two O's. TOO is to excel, to go past. You got a plan to prevail. One is just plan to get past things. So if you plan ahead, you will get better. One is plan to prevail, is you have to exceed that trial. You have to jump over it. So I like to think of it, I don't leave you in a place to where you were stuck behind the wall, but at a place to where you're on top of the wall with one leg already over. Now it's your choice whether you want to just take the easy route and hop over because you see what's on the other side, or if you want to hop back down and then have to fight your way back up. And so with that, I just use plan to prevail as also a way of, when you're going through things, automatically assume you're going to get through them. Once people start saying, oh, I think this is the time that I'm going to be broken. I think this is, why is this happening to me? And instead change the quality of your question. How can I implement this lesson, this challenge, to affect and change the perspective of individuals, so that once that change is made of that perspective, then that transformation can begin on the mind. And that's when that fulfillment and that satisfaction that you've been looking for your entire life will start to become present in your everyday daily routine.
Awesome, mind blowing, Quenton. I'm short. I'm short. I'm having a lot of shortage of words. What shall I say to support your answer? But yes, this is very, very true. When you make your mindset of being positive, being success, and you move on and you will never ever give up in your situation, that's what make you a very strong person. And that's what I can see your life is reflecting. And one thing is really, really touching. Yes, men do have emotions. They do feel cry and they want to burst out. Like it's a myth, only women cries and men don't want to cry. So from your life, I can see a lot of positive vibes. Yes, you have gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of difficult situations, but every situations you had not given up on your situations, but you still fought with your situation and you came out of all those hurdles. And that's what you are today. And you are inspiring people, you are transforming people to their best version of themselves. So, thank you so much for this so much inspiring and motivating answer. I really loved it, along with my global audience. And I'm sure they are going to just cherish all these moments in their future later on. Welcome, Don. Moving to this beautiful journey of so much inspiring journey. Now, before I say goodbye to you and to my global audience, let me hear some great positive vibes messages once again to the world.
So first thing I would like to say is, men, that association that we have with being vulnerable, we always heard of the thing, real men wear pink. Why do we associate that with, or what do we associate that with? Women, or pink being associated to having a feminine connotation. So we say real men wear pink. Well, real men are vulnerable. Real men support their spouse. Real men express themselves, communicate. Real men take responsibility. Real men take action. And real men become transformed. Now, speaking to a variety of just not gender specific, be positive. You're going to go through challenges. But if you want to be successful, you have to understand that those challenges will come. Otherwise, if you expect things to be just all just fairy tales and butterflies, then you will sadly be disappointed. But if you take life on head first, where you can constantly focus on that vision, then you're going to learn how to be I was a sports fanatic in football. And so you just have to pivot. And so either way, you're finding a way to get past this obstacle. And it's because you're seeing through the obstacle. You're aware, you acknowledge it, but you understand that it's only there to stop you from reaching your full potential. Now, nobody's going to reach 100%, but everybody can transform on a daily basis. And so if I leave anybody with anything, it's pain equals progress, challenges equals change, and trials equals transformation. And so you guys embrace everything. Reach out to somebody, create a support system so that way you don't fall backwards, but push forward. And don't take that leap of faith thinking that you're maybe going to make it, but know that you're taking that next step into your destiny, and that every endeavor that you have will be achieved no matter what challenge you face, because you are determined to be your best version of yourself, for yourself, and for the people around you.
Awesome one, Quenton, and thank you so much for giving your vibrant energy across the globe. And I'm sure people are going to love this video on, and they're going to watch this replay on and on. So thank you so much for
Thank
coming to
you.
our show and reviving and revitalizing every single soul across this globe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I hope you all have a great rest of y'all day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.